I'll be talking to the Human Rights Commission and to present the program in the next 50 minutes. My name is Skuka, and I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Lisbon Chamu, who is the Manager, Research and Mechanisms. Good afternoon and welcome to Western Province.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon and good afternoon to the listeners.
Thank you so much. We also have Liseli, who is the Senior Education and Training Officer from Human Rights Commission. Good to have you in the studio.
Good afternoon, and you know, they say that when in Rome, do as the Romans do,
Liseli Ncholo Chunga Study, also used to as a Complaints and Investigations Officer, as well as Makatengo Human Rights Commission, one called the Toka Manonia Vitumezi aanza uzurapi charo nisepaku tanifakora kwa mwendimu na nikuzo kakumbata kusama ikuto mwari nambazo kai kambota ni wana Makatengo Human Rights Commission. So as we progress with the program, we'll be able to accord you the opportunity so that you can take part in the program, you ask a question or make a contribution. In the studio once again, I have Mr. Lisbon Chamu, who is the Manager, Research and Mechanisms from Human Rights Commission. I have Liseli, who is the Senior Education and Training Officer, as well as Chunga Sitali, who is a Complaints and Investigations Officer from Western Province. My name is Skuka. So we are also live on our Facebook page. So if you have any question or contribution you want to make, you can just send us those on our Facebook page. You can as well use the numbers 0974347511. That is the WhatsApp line, as well as the text messages. Mr. Chamwe, once again, welcome to Wahai. By now, you must be speaking Wazi.
I wanted to be to Mezi or to my
Thank you so much. So, briefly explain to us what Human Rights Commission is. Perhaps you can also add the mandate and function of the Commission.
I think I can take that one up. So, the Human Rights Commission is an independent state institution. Sometimes, not sometimes, most times we call ourselves a national human rights institution that's been established in accordance with Article 230 of the Constitution of Zambia. So it has a twofold mandate, that is for promoting and protecting the rights of all citizens in this country, and the second one being that of ensuring that the Bill of Rights, which is a list of rights that contained in Chapter 3 of our Constitution, is promoted and protected. So that is about the Human Rights Commission. It's a creature of the Constitution. Also, it has been set up by other pieces of legislation. The other piece of legislation that establishes the Human Rights Commission is the Human Rights Commission Act Number 4 of 2024. So this act came into being last year sometime in August, after the original act that had set up the commission, that is Human Rights Commission Act Number 59 of 1996, was repealed and replaced by the Human Rights Commission Act Number 4 of 2024. So this act, in essence, has expanded some of the powers and the functions of the Commission, and you get to hear about some of the expanded functions of the Commission as we go along with the program. So in terms of the mandate of the Commission is espoused under the same constitutional article I mentioned, that's article number 230, at subsection 2. So there are about 4 key mandates. The first one is that of investigating the observance and rights of freedom. So we have a mandate to investigate anything that is related to being a human rights abuse or violation. Then aside from that, we have the mandate of ensuring that we provide redress for these human rights abuses and violations that we investigate. So this redress is provided through an alternative dispute resolution kind of way. So this involves mediating between two parties, negotiating and also reconciling parties that may be involved in a complaint that has been filed with the Commission that is a form of a human rights abuse or a violation. Then the third mandate is that of conducting human rights awareness or civic education programs around human rights issues affecting citizens in this country. Then we also conduct research, and then we also are mandated to visit places of detention to assess the human rights conditions in some of these facilities, which may include correctional facilities, some people have been prisons, or police stations, transit homes, and other places of detention. So in a nutshell, that's about the mandate and function of the Commission.
Fedha kwa kabla zisona mapua so zikuli katengo ka Human Rights Commission kikatengo kachwani kabla msewezi ofi mane mwendi nilituki so zero kakona kweza
Waitumira silamuwa welezo o bluzu mutarifa kulikatengo ka Human Rights Commission kikatengo kao katile kutoba kuyakamla mtu naliona wana na constitution amkaba article 230 subsection 1 iwera kuti kukaba ndikatengo ka Human Rights Commission iko ikatengo kao takaiza kuli kavani mata kujerera kamla udua no mtu na wa constitution mi amkaba ni kakulika nani mulao wa WhatsApp tinakwe katembo kakakabere kachwani kiho mulao wati otile na Human Rights Act number 4 of 2024 otile sisi kende awa wezuko ma before the new act actually mmonanga kutokana kweza na recommendation ya Human Rights Commission la tena Human Rights takapanga na recommendation kono ni usinamata takweza kuli mwendika amsala tele recommendation yeo munumula wakani kwa kono kwa kama na omisha na ma Human Rights Act number 4 ya 2024 nguna ni mata kwa sababu ile recommendation yeo kana kwa tele aiba mwela tele ukena pio kwa kuta kuli alumela ni nani kuna nikatengo kwa bona ngira kuna kaliko kumko imani kwa na makuta so nakuta leo wake kifaa na ni mata yo mlao otilo mcha rufa kwa never weza msevezi maupana mwako no you are privileged you can buy it but now right now we have given judicial powers by my recommendation on how can you have to report back for commission wako the community name is there we have acted in this way kanisa wezi yowezanga ilikuwa na katengo mandate yao ni amkaba sasa tunzo na article 230 ikanifaa kuti weza ikazenata ni kazi zile wezanga yamana kandi hapo tumabutaba tu baishwana wazawana ili katengo kwa yemerabo urusi mutaka education kutaturazileshwa na wazawana mwanzo kwa ubiswane hao ukaikrema tu anaanza kusema ya haiko vile kama hicho it's when someone has knowledge kasha knows that's when you can claim your rights and that's when you can respect other people's rights ni happy kwa poteranga ma detention places ya manini kitorongo ma police station mani pate nje ma mental hospitals ukidogone kulibata wa injimai usani wazawana za kutekiwa kutikisa kapata ni happy katengo ka umrika ndani na what is both rise and research kubatsa kuya kama isano za watu mozi inaweza kana kwa ndio wao wanakuti ndio ya pictures za isano za watu very happy ni baadhi ya research department kwa rise and research ni kwa na kutaka kuna ni ma focus yezi kwa na kuti isano za watu kutekiwa ndio wao I scap kwa nile hani so it was forgetful kabla kutimila even the teacher tamba baada ya wote ni kuti even matter isano za watu zikutekiwa ni hapo kuya kama ofisi zao nilikuwa na kodi yemelana kwa investigations lwa wachanga kuli kusanywa za watu kuweza kufikiwa mtu kaopera lakini kwa ndio uswanywa yayo vile tena kata maybe leni na kusuka hayo uma rumo uswanywa yao na exento bana ni work pale pesa yao mapa na kuweza complain kwa his behalf kama kwa ina njia yake hivi wakana kutaka pesa yao na kutoweza complain kapa mani yemera chawa sasa mkiwa leleki mwabaina kuti utrovera ya squatter mwakona kuta ni hape namna wakurupa mata kweza kuli mata kuli maybe luna aluka wana kusanywa ya mtu ya haterewa luna ni mata kukana kubatisa tabayani ni aluka abatisa lukafana kuti sana ya mtu yo inerobile kama ni hatere soko kutwana luka kama ni commendation na kuona kuti kana nitoleo mtu satwa ni paswa leo echa ni hape lubanga ni mata kulimwenzi. There are two things, mama human rights, human rights violation, here right some. Then kuna human rights disputes. Yeah, we have powers. We have got powers. We need to squat. Baba kuna hapo. Kuna nifapani. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kama nzira ya kuli watu wale. Lukafumana nzira, mtaalamu ni lukafumana kutuone kusadi yako na yale kama shuta yako na yale. By that resolve. So that matter whether mediate kama kweza kwa reconcile conciliation and whether mediate hata by the people kama nyakuli kasheko ampapani ni mojoji mbatu lamba elimu amkona ni kuti msike maka yako kusawtwana niruka kumananze yaba kafera ni namka kumana kuli muruko izendo kafera ni namuni na kunya mzizi kuti mpire nge mkutana mkute kanisa ni ozani echa
Pemela kutaka development ya faka kuli mubulezi kwa kuziona ni wasa mkulekera sichana nikatengo kamena mwabulozi mufumanya amasikitsa mungu mwalikirikiza
lu marikitezi mamuskada kono lu abangenge lupote ya security ni hape lu na ninzira iyo ya kweza kuli alu lutaba tuko vaiswa ni wazabona and how to load their complaints. But my complaint we are able to about and take that opportunity to come and train of the kono kao katengo kauna kai manage commission kai ngire mata beza kuti bona kuti kafera abantu mana kafera they are able to load their complaints nikuta ni line yewe msako ni bolifa mkona kuluma kwa amani kwa 5 kana kwa 8 hours to 17 hours ni hapa ndo kumwa ya marwai ya mine iliona ya 8 ni happy ni runa no number ya accessible kwa watu kwa kwa na kuli hala wana ni player they can reach me hapa ni mwana mfano na kuli they can reach me on my number even as 0954170755 nitakutia mwenye kuna na wasa beside 0954170758 kuli wako na kuuliza kwa kampo cha nikonga tuni kila yao na yao maana yake ya maliki kono kwa ni modeta kama na modeta kaneni rufita mama district mona kama oplaka we are all in selected provinces kono fa all provincial headquarters all provinces now have offices. So na usela za kabunya kono
Let me bring in Mr. Chan. We are looking at human rights, and perhaps we can look at the short and medium-term key focus areas or programs the Commission is carrying out now.
Well, thank you so much. Of course, I will draw you a bit behind so that we relate to what is there on the short and medium. So when you look at the act that came in last year, it was basically an act that added other new functions. One of the functions that you can talk about is the function of the Human Rights Commission monitoring compliance of the state. We should be able to understand that the state has 3 obligations. One is respecting human rights. The second obligation is the protection of human rights. And the third obligation is fulfilling human rights. What we mean when we human rights. This is where the state should not interfere in the enjoyment of human rights, should allow people to enjoy their rights. These are basically kind of negative way of approach, where the state allows the people to enjoy their right without interference. It could be in policies or it could be in law. They should not come up with laws and policies that somehow interfere in the enjoyment of rights. The second obligation is the same that we say, the protection. Protection is where you realize when people are allowed to enjoy their rights, in every society there is a possibility that someone else will take advantage of the fact that the state has allowed them to enjoy their rights. Then they can violate other people's rights because the state has refrained. But because of the fact that the state should not allow a situation that within its state people's rights are violated, they should come up with policies and laws to protect basically people and they enjoy their rights. But because of the fact that laws being in place, policies being in place, cannot help out in enforcing, they should fulfill. How do they fulfill? If you have a law on crime, in order for people to be protected against any crime, what should the state do? They should be employ officers, support those officers so that they can do their work. Or if you want to protect the right to education, how do you do it? You need to have schools, you need to have teachers. So what we do as a human rights, in the short term and in the long term, what we normally do is, in the short term, we monitor the state compliance to these obligations. So what we do, we produce what we call a state of human rights report. This comes from the process of research. You collect data. When we talk about human rights monitoring, we collect data, assess that data, verify that data, and then look at the measures or interventions that needs to be put in place in order for people to enjoy their rights, and then relate to the obligation of the state and see whether the state is complying to its obligations. And that's why you find that after we've done that particular aspect of research, we've collected and realized on the gaps that is there. In the short term, what do? We get on the ground for people to realize that certain issues maybe probably are not happening, like Mr. Stanley has said. If you don't know your right, then you will sit on them and you will not claim. So what we do is, when we've identified all the challenges, what do? The Department of Education goes out and help out to educate the people. And even here, the Department of Education has brought us with a view to educate one another. So in the short term, we are beginning to engage various institutions. Because within the law that was enacted last year, the commissioners was given a mandate of engaging high learning institutions or other institutions that we feel we are basically stakeholders in the promotion and protection of human rights. So that's the reason why we find that in the short term, we are beginning with those activities that we can reach out to the people, and in the medium term, we come up with intervention measures that will help us achieve the long term of seeing a society that respects human rights. But we will
So quickly, let's look at the new act on number 4/2024 and the obligations that you've stated. How are we faring with it currently in the country?
So basically, this act came into force in October, and the budgeting based on that act began January. So far we've begun. I think very soon we will be going out in the field to collect data relating on the state of human rights. And then we are here in the province, we are yet to meet, we are going to engage a higher learning institution specifically on the need to fulfill what is in the act. So far, I think we are doing well to some extent, because one other issue that has come in, the Commission now is given a mandate to litigate matters on behalf of clients, which was not there in the previous. So we are already seeing a situation that there is a lot of engagement that is going on between other legal departments elsewhere. Let's say, for instance, the Legal Aid Board, the prosecution department, and many other issues to see to read which cases can we take as more or less like cases of public interest litigations so that we can help out. So far, I can tell you to say there are a lot of issues that are going in the background where now write-ups are taking place. People are writing documents to make sure that we get to the required standard and be able to assist it and do the right thing. Like he has said, this time around, why do we need to have public litigation? Here, when you give a recommendation, you can only challenge the recommendation of the commission through the High Court. So which means we should be able to stand in to help out the clients where we would have given a recommendation. So far, I can tell you, we have begun, and if you look at one other aspect I will bring up to this, is the fact that other than the mandate that is sitting in the Human Rights Commission Act, there is the other mandate that is sitting in the Access to Information Act, especially Section 5, where the Commission will be required now to hear appeals and determine where people have been denied information. So what we are seeing is that we've restructured the Commission. The process of restructure has begun, and we are seeing people are put in the various positions so that at least we are ready to attend to these issues. We're just waiting for other things to be finalized in terms of laws and rules and others. But basically, when it comes to the institution, we've already begun to restructure. So that's what I can say that we achieved in this aspect.
Itumizi nokutanya ngumena abasitalifa akalwesona kulika kwekeza kwa msebereza akatengo ka Human Rights Commission maswa kasabolozi kalolo ya mulawe ya mhezchwan nimba expansion siyaba kwa kono kuba nikutuso soma nkona kuyandula ona kalolo ya msebereza ne nsona kweza
actually tumezo skuka sinamba bwezi bochana kuti mulawo na umjaka loka article number 4 of 2024 iye keleze kwa mata Human Rights Commission. Usanda wezi mulawo tile mwa Oktoba si mwezi spegile ni kukapea manatwaro so far mlawo swewa wao kusando napenda sana kweza kuti anala nileleka twana ani final recommendation and of course kuka wakawa tele recommendation ya ni mwabelezi we are in the process and we are achieving the goal. Sinambona kuli structure yaruna maybe manpower maybe that under we are recruiting people for specific roles. We are coming out omja oti maybe more wabuleezi sabuti lukana luambo and watoa ni maikoloje paani ili maikoloje namo kama sulukaba ndio luambo and students pa liwanikane school iko ya kamla ona na omja ni watakutua kutema ikuta manata ya kamla ona omja tukakupa mimi baba utane kwa ofisi yao na kwa rubi kama tumetoka na pesa access news mania kama ya ofana mbele ya saidi mara RDA ni building department hiyo ni infrastructure civil infrastructure na kwa kama utanikuta mlao wote Loko na kupani ni msikuka wana mta tuleta interview tulidemna au nikatoka hapa moja kutiba tukape au kutimna au antuani umchani kibuni demand what is a first ya kwa maana bali swali na uzawa.
We are talking to the Human Rights Commission, and in the studio I have Mr. Lisbon Chamu, who is the manager, research and mechanism. We have Lucy Montali, who is a senior education and training officer, as well as Mr. Chunga Sitali, who is a complaints and investigations officer from Western Province. As I was rapid Choma program, utanifako ya kunuliza zenu. Kwa nako ngaka wema program kwa kuuliza nikona kuvuza lipozo. Now, Mr. Chamu, you've already stated the reason why you are in the province. Share the program, how you ought to conduct the activities, and who are supposed to attend these functions.
Okay, thank you so much. Basically, we've come in what we call a targeted approach. So in this case, what we are beginning to do is, like I said, in the short term and the medium term, we want to begin to engage various learning institutions. So this time around, I think what we've done is that we've engaged an institution, which is the learning institution, specifically at Lewanika General Hospital. Is it General Hospital?
Yes.
Yeah, the School of Nursing and other activities that are there. We want to make sure that we do a targeted approach, basically to engage with the students and talk about certain rights. Why do we want because of the fact that these are emerging issues. As you may be aware, if you look at our constitution, basically it talks more of the civil and political rights as the rights that are sitting under the Bill of Rights, meaning those are the only rights that are fully justiciable, and you can invoke Article 28 in an event where you're seeing that that right is almost getting violated or it's been violated. But in this case, when you look at the fact that we, as a country, we recognize the fact that human rights are interdependent. What do I mean by that? You cannot enjoy one right neglecting the other and expect to fully enjoy it. So as such, we know for sure that even if in the Constitution, economic, social, cultural rights are not sitting there, they are supposed to be as well promoted. So our targeted approach is that, like I said, in the short and medium term, we are beginning to advocate for different rights. So in this case, we're looking at the rights to health. And then when we look at the right to health, within their students that are in the sector of health, they've got rights. So what we're beginning is to try and engage. So what I can say is that for the meantime, as we engage the members of the community through this radio program, we will as well to engage those that may have a chance of passing through the office as we stew around. But for the meeting that is there, it's a targeted, we want to target the students so that we begin to do certain issues. For example, I'll tell you, if you look at the role learning institutions play, it's very, very significant and important in the promotion and protection of human rights and in building a culture of respecting human rights. So our target is that when we reach out to these students, as they go out there, I think you may be aware that sometimes some of the issues that come out are that maybe probably at this particular health facility, there was element of discrimination. So we want to begin to make sure that if we are monitoring, what does it mean when we talk about the 3 Qs, 3 A's and Q? What does accessibility mean? Adaptability and acceptability and quality mean? So we want them to understand that when they are working, there are those standards they need to follow. When we talk about the human rights-based approach, what do we mean? And that's the reason why we're doing targeted, and we only target that particular institution for now, but then from there we'll zero in with other communities that we want. Why? Health issues are emerging issues to some extent, and they will help us achieve the intended goal of advocating for the inclusion of economic and social cultural rights in the Constitution, because people need to begin to understand they too play a role in one's life. That's what I can say. So basically, it's the students that we're targeting, and we should be able to as well call on others that will be willing for us to visit them.
Wastani mwindi connected sanyan fera kulivenga wote wanakuzi wako matu tunaongewa ki katengo kama na Amerika kwa nakubeleka sana niko na katengo kama nesi kiupi yote wanakutengo
the recommends na mwa very good time kuli yeah kimakarero for full program to come yaswa lengo na ya mi lu kete luanka nesins kukapoli nela mi apa kanamba ya students yetu mi lero engage kwa bila kuli tuwata engage whether engage mwendi kuya kwa kuswali kuli iswani mawe iswani wadabaki asikuwa nikikuwa kwa pauketa aswani wazomba tako ikuwa kusiyazi kapoli za zivereka hamu sina namutarawa and nakula I want to be able to check so that the food will be affected. So maybe we have a very good time for now to manufacture more. This one of the food need very few manufacture more. Yeah, one of the other we had the one of the series when I was about to come back. So now it's going to be very good. You want to line and see. Kama wewe kama manufacture, you want to know this one is our. Kuna mzo kiswani ni swani wa papa kutoka utani nikuwa na kumapokesha na watu wasili. So amu kwa swani wa zani samba wewe wocha mkuli. Una ni mila hapa za kuna kwa amu kwa swani wa zani na mwapokesha swani wa zani da watu ni kuna kana kutia point na wapi the state when themselves apply protecting this one was a lot. So abo ambo azachwa no mai pate ambo atana kuti isani wadala kuwawa wema manesi this one ni happy ni wana wako ukana kuona kuti isani wadala manesi ndo anaweza ni wako kupikiwa kuni the more you enjoy your rights you should have also responsibility of respecting watu isani wadala tulasi
let's talk about the area of focus of human rights education.
Okay, so I think Mr. Chairman had already alluded to the fact that one of our expanded functions within the new Human Rights Commission Act that's up on the 2024 is to have engagements with institutions of higher learning. So that is explicitly stated as one of the additional functions of the Human Rights Commission. But this is not to say that we are neglecting other institutions of learning, be it primary and secondary school. So our focus of education programs also target institutions of learning at a much lower level, that is the primary and secondary school, given the fact that it's explicitly stated that we engage with institutions of higher learning. So in terms of our focus of the program, so basically, we do what we are here to do, that is educate people about who we are as a commission, what our mandate and functions are, what services we offer to members of the public, and bear in mind that all services offered by the commission are free of charge. So we have to give out this information to members of the public about the services we give out in terms of human rights awareness raising through these education programs, and how we deal with the complaints that come to our offices, such as the job profile my brother, Mr. Jonga, holds that of being complaints and investigations officer. So how does this officer work to assist somebody who has experienced a violation, and how will the commission provide redress if a person finds themselves having been a victim of a human rights violation or abuse? So that is the focus of our programs, basically giving out information to members of the public about who we are, what services we offer, but also sharing information about human rights, some of which Mr. Chairman has already touched on, in terms of what are these rights. So what rights also accrue to us as human beings? So how are we supposed to enjoy these rights? Is it just anyhow? I can give a classic example of how, most people know we have this freedom of expression, but how do we express ourselves? As we are expressing this right to freedom of expression, are we cognizant of the rights of other people, that we're not trampling on the rights of other people? So we educate people that in as much as we have these rights, in as much as we have the right to enjoy them, we should enjoy them responsibly without infringing on the rights of others. So we also tell them about the obligations of the state, some of which Mr. Chairman has touched on, that the state has a responsibility to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. So that is basically the essence of what our education programs cover. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are talking to the Human Rights Commission. In the studio I have Mr. Liseli, Chairman, who is the Manager, Research and Mechanisms, Lucy Wanyamtari, who is a Senior Education and Training Officer, and Mr. Chunga Sitaru, who is a Complaints and Investigations Officer from Western Province. So if you have a question or a concern that you want to share with us, you can call us on the numbers 0974-347511, and the panel in the studio will be glad to respond to those questions, concerns, and contributions. Kim Siacha. What was Franklin?
Let's see.
Lwamyutosha. retumezaawo mwanamke mbere ni haike kwe kutafuta mshoro wetu sawa bali ma studio bakosobola zinesikuwa kyebuka kuli muto se sikuwa zikapasikuwa amambo yanayotoka ndoba upa mshoro yao kafya kia namba kizo 974347511 kia namba mkakona kuuliza kumbuze puzo kwa mwekezi mwa program yao na ikambo utafaa swanya za watu nikatengo kange kabona swanya za watu kwa naka Human Rights Commission kia mwenduma ni puzo kazamu utwile kapa kuna mfumo atakuli mkone kuhakule wahande katumauliza kwa namba 974347511 nawazi ndio style ya tuksiza kwa au mwanamchembe
Atizwa itumia mwanamchembe neruzi wako nikaonekana kuuliza mina kwa yeye mwenye nike watafa ni mulumbira au kuti ofisi yani nayabereka kuno mwana mama anta asi ndikacheku muchinche kulwako tarubereki bonita muna mi hapi leruka vlaku za muboniswa nyoza watu ngeze atelewa ngesa kutisiri papata mi fama kayo ni ulezukuli yapa na peza report kimu tukafa yaka wana kutsana ya mtu ya atelewa ini mtu weza report you become also promotion of human rights. It starts with me and you. So I am carbon. I swear that I think that the maina makuta kwa nisaidia report. Phone mina amrutusi. Kona mweza report pa office ya runa. Mia wongimu hatu. Batuka kote kama njiani na traveleki. Kona mka inafia lagi msaidia report. Nimi na mwereki. Kapo kuna yako yema hamo. Nikulwani ya swanyo za watu. Isike kusia kwa office ya Human Rights Commission. Kapo swanyo za mtu ni mtu. Ya mtu ni mtu kapo rupepo alizona. So, kuona mchembe, maziwa ofisi ya una, maziwa kumulwa mboliranga, mawana kutaka ofisi, mdoluwa kumosa weke inzira nani, miluka tuweta mbota, letume.
Mr. Chairman, you have anything you want to add on?
Okay, yeah, like what Mr. Stanley has said, I think what I can say is that we are calling on each and every person out there who is observing certain issues, because as you may be aware, as we've just been at the provincial office, and when you look at the standing levels, they are very low. So to find ourselves in all these institutions, we may not know. But basically, for those that are seeing those issues, our call is to make sure that they report. Like it was said earlier, anyone who has anything to report can call 8181. One thing I will tell the people out there is that let them not fear. Even if you see it in the neighborhood, report, because we have a policy of protecting whistleblowers. And not only that, the Act itself gives us room. Once we get the information, we will consider that particular case as a case that the Commission has taken on its own volition. So meaning a person can report and will keep their identity undisclosed. So please, we are calling on you, and we really appreciate to hear that you are observing certain issues that the mental health section at the hospital, and maybe you are talking about hearing of arbitrary arrests at the police station. That is an eye-opener, and the Commission hearing from that will as well find means and ways of visiting these facilities and see. But nevertheless, please, those that have information, let them come through to the office so that we interact and work together, because we are all in this. If no one comes out to talk about this, then we will not know what is happening, and human rights will be violated. And we appreciate that he has heard, because we say information is power. When you hear that we are supposed to do this, and the person will come and claim for the rights.
So it means the Education Department is doing its assignments. Quickly, your reaction to those concerns.
As you have rightly put it, I think we're not quite there, but I think we're on the right track in terms of doing our part as it relates to creating awareness on human rights and giving people information about our services and how we can intervene. So, in a way, like you're saying, we are doing our work, because we wouldn't have a person calling to share his sentiments on what he has observed at the mental health department, at one of the health facilities, or what's happening in some of these police stations, because it shows that people know that what is happening there, it is a violation, and some form of human rights violation that the Human Rights Commission quickly needs to step into and investigate and provide some form of redress where that is concerned.
Number key is 0974347511. Kiwa namba mtesa kumuuliza ze mkona kuuza kama ikeze no program. Kiwa mangoza kaiwa. Wakapo kwa viterozo pila uzepuzo. Mwakote wakafuti ili kuzo na kone kufutana felizo kone kuitwa ili kone kuyalaba. Chemuliza kwa namba 0974347511. I think it's more concerned with what Woman Chembele has talked about kwa psychiatric ward. Then also another issue of interest is Mr. Trust from Liangati in Sananga district is asking to say, do you also deal with matters where people are not allocated farmland or fields according to how they're supposed to be shared?
Okay, well, what we would require hearing from what you said, I think is more information to that aspect. Because if, let's say, for instance, you are members of the family and you are all beneficial of a particular thing, I think, for instance, you're inheriting. Based on whatever criteria that are set out, you shouldn't be discriminated. So if it element that she seemed to say is discrimination, basically it becomes a human rights violation. So what we can call is that maybe probably we get in touch with him so that we can get more information on the matter. But as long as that matter is considered to be a human rights violation, we definitely move in. In terms of allocation of land, we know a person who's got the right to property. But we need to assess on how they can have access to that property, in what form. Or are they being denied because they've favored others? Then it becomes a discrimination issue. So we need more information on that aspect so that we can be able to determine on whether it's a human rights violation or not. But we do come in. But one thing you should know is that there are a lot of issues that happen. Entitlements are there. But if they don't meet what we call the characteristics of human rights, then we'll help you find the institution that can handle it, will refer, because the act, like I said, it puts it categorically to work hand in hand with others. Even the constitution as well states that we should be able to refer matters to the various institutions that have got the mandate and where we feel someone's rights will be highly protected. But we assess on whether it's a violation or not. So basically that's what we need more information.
Mostari kiyopozo zile kwa trust morning na sozi kama kikule mwanya kafaka wewe kuhatewa kwenye kwa kufumana masimu.
Tuli tumezo trust sinamba bezi wachana puzo iye mfile ayufi upa kwa ungata kuli kana kuwa kama simu kwa ipa kama simu ya traditional land. In most cases, they have a traditional land. Each and every family is given a section ya Mongu. Iwa kakarapuli. Mingapo abana, mkabana kia family ya mina. So mwendi, haiba wako na mweno wa polisi za kutulunge ta into utungi watawa kuli. Zewa kulela zitawa mani kutulunge ni upati wapa ngoti ni lube ni ziwa kati mkata wako na kutubona kuwaiza chwani ambagona kuli kitwana wako na kapachwani mwengi wako na sani kule kani file namba ya kayani kutiwako na kunizeza nila kukaza mo kuli mwengi wika mbote kata wake na ya kuchidunga maikoto wata kia chwani
Kujuna zungoke hello? Rochers one what was trying to say? The woman rolled away. Eruna zombi tapoza wana kifu kwa kande mo.
Kaukuta nyola nishama enelu nyolarungu gelizeli kono. Rikumuzeo izepeli yune kumanehele yune wabulaile machoi. Ale wabulaile chwalo nyamayane kisile machiku chalo nyatoa kumana gani machele ngati kasasa 520 pasta. Chalo machele nyao Katawayale kutofika paka tuwe malaika na zilisili munabatu tutoya ta zilisili bakaba kutofika kutitabaita niyetukawe yatuzuita abatulale mashori bapika wapika twalumu nakonsa usiku litabayale ikikweta twali yale mali mashori twali yale mukali batalakai batiyo limolo likiruka ngola kulungalu zili wakuwa yali moyo kulimani mwati wakumima yali moyo lisinzo likomiyo likomiyo kinzo lukifile mkonona keleni kode mkonja mkamba yali moyo tate nikateko yele lako li 2020 November nikateko kuya nakate na mwenye ya mazima payo uliwe mazima payo sana mzuru katuzea tonata wa yeo mchezo
Bene bami uliaza mangolo ba okibafi. Bene bami uliaza kuli mwese mangolo ba okibafi. Iwana bene ba mangolo hao. Mwende mukaliza pa namba ene bamifa wo stari yange uli mkone kuli mkono watokera hande kakutaka kuziwa kuli tatekera kai banafuku na mafosa kaka bitumezwa kona kuliza za shaka enja number ki 0974347511 kia namba muuliza kuli mkono pozo kapa mwekeze mwanga mbulani bitumezi mama abaza ewa Dotos one other things. Shangi. Let's start with the war monitor. I know it's too technical explanation, but you got something.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, if I got him correctly, I think he's saying that his animal was stolen one cattle and was killed and sold. And then they recovered about 520 kwacha. The matter went on, and then all of a sudden the matter along the way could not move as expected. And when he was trying to claim for the money, I think he was asked to put it in writing. And unfortunately, that prosecutor is no longer around. I think basically what we can say, like Mr. Storian earlier on said, I think such matters we need more information so that we can quickly intervene. We know he has got the right to the money, and it doesn't mean that when money is put as part of exhibit is taken away. No, maybe it's just the process of the criminal justice process that is there. So what we can say is that if it's, because I know Kande is not very far, it's at the entrance of Mongu, somewhere there. I think you should just find time probably to come through to the Human Rights Commission so that maybe you can sit with the Human Rights Commission. We know it has taken longer than what is in the Act, but sometimes the law says there are certain exceptions when you hear what is there. Maybe probably he's been following on that aspect. He knew in 2020 to say he's got the right and he's been following. So to some extent we can somehow begin to entertain some of those issues, basically because we would get information that this person has always been going to claim for the rights. So in this case, what we can just call on Wamovita is please find time, pass through the Human Rights Commission in Mongu, bring out the information so that at least the office can be in a position to follow and see where things are not okay. It doesn't matter whether the person has been transferred or not, as long as he handed over everything to the new office bearers, that matter can be followed. And if he hasn't, he can be called upon to be accountable. So accountability is key. So that's what we can say.
Quickly, Mr. Innocent Storisha's concern. There's a notion in communities that
Yes.
parents are failing to discipline their children, and the teachers in schools are also failing to discipline their children because of human rights.
Well, what I can say, I don't want to go in so many distance, but what I can say, I've heard, but one thing we should understand is the fact that we need to understand what is the role of a guardian. So, what we need to understand is that the promotion and protection of the rights of the child falls in three categories in terms of the issues that we need to look at. The first thing is best interest of the child. What is in the best interest of the child? Is it the child for you to sit down every now and then and talk to them, let them understand? The only challenge that we've seen in most cases is basically that we feel physical infliction of pain on a child is the best way of discipline, because that's what is there. We are taking our role as parents to talk to the children and say, no, they'll take me to the human rights. No. Best interest of the child. Let's say, for instance, the child wants to leave home at 18 hours and goes to where? Is it in the best interest of the child? A child decides not to go to school. Is it in the best interest of the child? A child who is in school doing other things against the rules of the school. Is it in the best interest of the child? What we can say is that let the child be punished in another manner that is different. The reason is that we do not know the health of the child the moment you start reaping. Even in time when there was corporal punishment, the court would first order for the person to be taken to the hospital and certified fit to be whipped. But that's what we don't do. So to avoid an unnecessary commission of assaults, let's find alternative measure in the best interest of the child. Then two, we like element of discrimination. And children, as they are growing, if they are seeing a situation of discrimination, this one is treated differently, this one is treated differently, what are you building? Resentment. And once you build elements of resentment, are you going to control a child? The child will be in discipline. So let's find means and ways of making children know what they are supposed to do. When they are making up a decision, let the children participate. So what I simply say is that let him come through, we can see and raise awareness in the various institutions so that people begin to do this. Basically, they have a role, even at international level, guardians, teachers and others, they have a role to discipline, but not using the corporal punishment, which is like torture, basically.
Time is not our best ally, so we'll start when you can put in a number after 1 minutes, final remarks as we conclude the program.
Number is 0954 17 0758. 0954 17 0758. Midima Jamafezo, Edita Sagmiko, Arafera Pamana, Pamita, Nivo Tulisha, Kamusa, Amisatala, stock set qua Muso, qua Paputa. It's a criminal matter, and what the court is concerned is to find those people guilty and sentence them. Unless there's an order in that judgment to say that money should be given back to the owners of the animals. That's when that money can be given. Otherwise, you are supposed to apply to be given that money as part of the compensation. So I don't know how it is, but they can still call me and can be able to help. What Tulisha, I don't think caning children is a form of discipline. That is punishment. That's corporal punishment. And as we said earlier on to say, the state has got the mandate to protect. So this law of abolishing corporal punishment was to see to it that children are vulnerable and are being, they can be vulnerable to human rights violation because they are still growing. And that's why the law that came in to say corporal punishment should come out. Why should? Because as you are aware that human rights starts when we are born. We are born with human rights, and everyone is equal. Whether it's a child, everyone, the human rights applies to everyone. If you can't beat an adult when it does wrong, with a fully developed mental, when he wrongs you, who knows what is right and what is wrong? When you beat him, you report it to the police for assault. What should we make a child to be treated as a property? They are all human beings with the equal rights. So, what to Risha, Bakona to Niza Fafonifa, Toina, to Amboli, Bakao to Sapili, corporal punishment doesn't assist a child to grow better.
Thank you so much. I will see your final remarks and then.
My final remarks, just to jump on Chunga's last comment, is that I think even for the children, they need to inculcate certain values that rights do come with responsibilities, and in as much as we're enjoying our rights to freely express ourselves the best way we feel we can, we should not infringe on the rights of others. So that those are the values that need to be inculcated, that yes, we are rights holders, but we need to enjoy these rights responsibly. And for those who may be interested in our education programs, they may feel free to write through our provincial office. They can address their communication to the Director General, or if they have email, they can email us at info@hrc.org.zm if they would like the commission to come through to their learning institution, be it a primary school, secondary school, or institution of higher learning. Will be more than happy to come and share information about the work we do around human rights. And thank you for having us on your platform.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I mean it. We understand that tomorrow you have an engagement with the learning institution. Perhaps members of the community also want to be part of that engagement. How can they be incorporated?
What I can say is that we are calling and we really appreciate the partnership. Those that can afford, let them pass through the office, probably in the morning, around 10 or so, at the Human Rights Commission. We can arrange so that we see how they can participate in the future programs or any other program that we can set soon after we're done. And what we can say is that partnership with the people will definitely help us build a culture of respect in human rights. So let's continue working together, and we really appreciate to your continued gesture that you allow us use your platform for us to reach out to the people. So please, may God continue to bless you and you continue to do your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of our program. This is a special edition of the Human Rights Radio program, where I'm highlighting the human rights and also some of the engagements the Commission will have in Western Province. So before we say our bye-byes, there are some concerns. This one is highlighting the issues of the profits that people who are sick, when they go and seek their services, they are asked to pay. So they are appreciating the work that you are doing, but they are also extending the invitation for you to visit such churches. Then this one from Rukuru district says the issues of land is also rampant in Rukuru, and they're asking the commission to visit that district so that you can help them. Then this one from Senanga, Goma Zibulo, they are still asking for that number. We'll start quickly, seconds, you can mention it as we now.
Number is 0954 170758. 0954 170758.
Or they can call 8181 from any network.
Vinumezi nevikambota tabazasoneza watu niwakuelezeza niwakueleza fera travel nevikambota ngoli sponsor mwe ngoli mtani kinasumba kwa skuka itumeza zile pictures kwa ICC.